Welcome to the FI Newscast, where we bring you relevant news in the food and beverage industry. Today is Friday, September 15th, 2023. I'm Susan Choi, your host for this show. Today, we're going to chat with Meg Bluth, Senior Director of Insights for Brightfield Group. She's got a lot to share about the wellness industry, but first, let's cover some of the top stories from this week so far. We start with the latest numbers on the economy. Food inflation eased to 4.3% on an unadjusted basis in August, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Food at home and food away from home inflation both slowed during the month, falling to 3% and 6.5% respectively. However, overall inflation increased to 0.6% on a seasonally adjusted basis, with 1/3 of the increase attributed to rising gasoline prices. Meanwhile, producer prices increased 0.7% in August on an unadjusted basis, representing the largest increase since July 2022. Food prices contracted by 0.5% on a seasonally adjusted basis during the month. Instacart is eyeing an initial public offering this month, but its valuation could be drastically lower compared to 2021. Bloomberg analysis found that the company's fully diluted valuation could be between $8.6 billion and $9.3 billion. In its last fundraising round in 2021, the company reached a valuation of $39 billion. The company has since seen a rapid slowdown in the growth of its core delivery business. The company is considering pricing its listing on September 20th, with trading starting the following day. Insiders across the board are still talking about 𝗟𝗲𝘁'𝗀𝗃 big buyout of Hostess Brands Inc. for $5.6 billion. The Wall Street Journal reports that they allegedly competed with General Mills for the acquisition. The jam maker says they are pushing toward an effort to focus on, quote, convenience consumer occasions. The deal includes the entire line of Hostess snacks and its multiple manufacturing facilities across the Midwest. But what's really eye-catching is the premium valuation multiple of 17.2 times adjusted EBITDA. Will their big investment on indulgence and nostalgia pay off in a time where health and wellness seems to take the spotlight? You know, the Food Institute will be watching closely. Some updates on food prices overseas. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization recently reported that world food prices fell to a 2-year low in August despite hikes for rice and sugar. The drop reflected declines in prices for dairy products, vegetable oils, meat, and cereals. The UNFAO cited weather patterns as a reason for the price change. In contrast, the sugar index rose 1.3%, and rice prices surged upwards of 10% as India decided to ban indica rice exports, altering the flow of trade. And finally, from bugs and rocks found in falafel and soup to plastic in chicken strips, food recalls have done a recent spike in the U.S. The AP reports that according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service, extraneous materials found in various food manufactured products caused 9 recalls in 2022 alone. Examples can include anything from pieces of copper wire to wood fragments, even animals. The public has been more sensitive about recalls in light of recent recalls this year of Trader Joe's cookies, cheddar broccoli soup, and falafel, as well as Conagra brand chicken strips. In each instance, either rocks, bugs, or plastic shards were found in the products. And those are your top stories. I'd like to welcome our featured guest to the show. She currently serves as the Senior Director of Insights at Brightfield Group, a firm specializing in areas such as brand health, distribution trends, and social listening. She has more than 20 years of experience in the CPG industry, focusing on consumer behavior and branding, with additional expertise in packaged goods, personal care products, beverages, and healthcare. Her resume includes work with Coca-Cola North America, where she led teams focusing on marketing and strategy. She is Meg Bluth. Welcome, Meg, to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks. Happy to be here.
All right. So let's just start things off. What is one area you are really noticing that people are dealing with that is intersecting with the wellness industry? I know that's one, that's a sector that you're really looking at these days. What are people struggling with right now? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many things. I would say, at Brightfield, one of the more interesting things that we're uncovering is this sort of dichotomy of consumers that are increasingly looking to kind of wind down on one end, but then amp up their energy on the other. And when we think about them winding down and relaxing, there's a lot of stressed out people in the US. In fact, in our study, we're seeing 48% of consumers are saying, I'm often stressed out or anxious. That's a lot of people. And when we look at our relaxation state, these are people in our need state that are saying, I need to relax. I'm looking to relax. I'm trying to find products that help me to do that. We see that group's about 52% of US consumers. And these tend to be people who have higher levels of anxiety and depression. And they also tend to belong to some of our top wellness segments in our segmentation. These are people that are very willing to try products, very willing to share what their experience is and try new things. And they're willing to buy their way into relaxation. So a really highly important group of people to think about when you're innovating in the next space here.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. It definitely resonates with me, the high levels of stress and anxiety that people seem to be going through these days. There are pretty good reasons out there, I think, for that. Talk to me about, more about the interesting point you brought up. It seems to be a contradiction. People want to relax. You were just talking about that, but you also mentioned that people want to be energized. Do people want those things simultaneously? Talk to us more about the dichotomy there.
They do, yeah. We're seeing many people that are looking to relax, but then afterward kind of looking to amp up. They don't have the energy that they're looking for to get things going in their day. And we see about 41% of US consumers are in that energy need state, a lot of that overlapping with those relaxation need state consumers. And, we've seen a lot of growth over the first half of this year in energy conversations on our social conversations platform. Consumers are talking about energy in all sorts of ways that have to do with kind of their lifestyle and what they're looking for to get out of their day. And we can see that they are looking to kind of those tried and true areas. They're looking to coffee and teas and the typical kind of energy drinks that are out there. But we also see some strong growth in things like matcha tea and B12. So kind of some of the newer ways to kind of bring caffeine in. And, Gen Z is very much gravitating towards matcha teas and boba teas. We can see they're looking there for that pick-me-up, and they're talking about it a lot on social. And we're also seeing that in our consumer data movement within the matcha tea area, specifically in this Gen Z group. And we also see that millennials are the ones who are actually driving B12. And so there's a lot of conversations on social about B12. B12 shots are kind of popular again and being talked about quite a bit. And millennials are really kind of who's driving a lot of that focus. And then we're also seeing energy snacks and food products. We're seeing those stay relatively flat across the last year. However, that's actually a win in this economy. If you're seeing a category stay relatively flat across a bad economy, while you're seeing some other categories that really were inspiring and doing well declining, a flatness, basically people saying, I'm not moving away from this category. This is what I need. This is what I deem is completely necessary to kind of my lifestyle. That's what we're seeing energy. Energy is sort of seeing a nice straight line across this economy. So it is a good place to make sure that you're delivering on, the expectations of people in this category, and they will be willing to spend because it is something that they see as just like a really functional need for themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. Again, to what you were saying, relative to what we're seeing in the economy, if sales are consistent, if there's a flat line, that means people are still willing to, put their money into these kinds of products, which is that probably would come as a relief to these companies that are producing these products. Meg, talk to me about something else. We mentioned in earlier conversations that I definitely want you to talk more about right now. Another area, in addition to people wanting to de-stress, but people also wanting to energize. What about sleep? People needing more sleep. Is that something that you're seeing as well at Brightfield Group? Talk to us more about that.
Yes, yeah. Sleep. It's always the conversation, right? But the level of communication and conversation around sleep right now, we've been joking internally here at Brightfield that is sleep the new sex? Because it's like everybody's talking about it, who's getting it, how you get more, how you make it better. When you look at social media as a whole, and you look at every topic that can possibly be talked about, Sports is always number one, but the number two topic is sleep. So sleep is on everybody's mind, and then that really tells you something. Sports, sleep. So 76% of people in our survey say that sleep is an absolute top priority for them, but we know that they're not getting it. They're trying, they're doing all sorts of things to kind of get there. Right now, that people are saying that it's the number two cause of their stress, and that is up this year. In prior years, we've seen sleep be number four behind money and work in the news. So stress has moved up to number two. It is really something right now that people are grasping for. And these sleep deprived consumers, they're looking for products that can kind of perform that magic. And, we've seen a lot of great innovation around sleep, everything from CBN, which is a cannabinoid like CBD, but it has some features to help you sleep. We've seen a lot of CBN tinctures, all the way to like circadian syncing clocks. We've always had a lot of innovation around sleep, but it really seems to be kind of doubling down now. And melatonin is something we've all known about. We've been hearing about now for years. And that's been a place that people have really been kind of turning to. But now we're actually seeing a lot of strong movement toward magnesium, not only in our consumer data, but in our social data. And we're also seeing it in Google searches over the past year, a real increase in magnesium. And especially on TikTok, a lot of conversations about getting magnesium in your diet to kind of help your circadian rhythms. So I do think that that's going to be an ingredient that you're going to be seeing much more in functional foods going forward. It's a familiar ingredient for consumers. And so knowing that that's close in, familiar, that is a less of a kind of a mountain to climb on if you're looking to kind of innovate in this space of sleep.
That's great. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more with Meg Bluth from Brightfield Group. Stay with us. All right, we are back with Meg Bluth, Senior Director of Insights for Brightfield Group. Meg, thanks again for being with us. All right, I want to get right back into it. Such a fascinating topic. We were talking just now about Gen Z, the younger audiences, within the pantheon of consumers being more open to try new products, as you were saying, being open to, look for new inventions, just new things to solve their problems, seamlessly transitioning into social media. That is what, the younger audiences tend to gravitate towards. Meg, talk to us about how you guys conduct social listening, what that is, how you guys have been utilizing that kind of skill set to have your ear on the ground in the wellness industry, and how that plays out, the culture of the power of social media's influence, how that's playing out within the wellness industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Brightfield Group, we are using social listening in addition to connecting that to our brand surveys. So quarterly, we go out with brand surveys, talking to 5,000 American consumers each time about all sorts of behaviors around just how they kind of consume, how they live, their emotions, their psychographics. And then we also are going, and within that, we're able to connect with them. We ask them for some of their social media handles to allow us to access just and kind of watch what it is they're doing in a social platform. But we also have a secondary part to our social listening where we're able to go out into the world of social media, and essentially we have keywords that we are looking for that connect to everything that's in our study. Every new ingredient that we put into our study, we put into our keyword searches, and we're able to grab all of that data, bring that into our platform, and then we're able to connect based on conditions, behaviors, products that they're using, ingredients that they're using, need states that they're in. And we're able to essentially look and connect that data in a way that helps you look at not only our social data, but our consumer data to see the kind of full story of what's happening. And so you can see sometimes that social data is starting to rise before you see the data in terms of what people are purchasing rise. So we're trying to get a better idea and be more predictive with social to see what are some of the ingredients that might be kind of hitting the wellness space, might be about to have their heyday. So we are watching and sort of looking and seeing, are we seeing relationships between that? And really, when you think about it right now, like I said earlier, social media is where most people are finding out about wellness products now. They're not necessarily finding out about things by watching television, seeing commercials. It really is this social. It's kind of always in their face, always cater to the things that they care about. And once you care about something in social, we all know you start getting more and more of it. And so when we think about our health segments, the trendy enthusiasts, this is the group that is most focused on trying new products and then sharing their experience with others. They're really the word of mouth leaders. We see a lot of them on social, and watching them on social and really understanding what it is that they're talking about, who they're following, what kinds of information are they taking in. That helps us better understand what might be kind of happening, what might be the next thing coming through. And it really does help us sort of start to predict some of that breakthrough that might be happening, what we might be seeing next on the shelves.
Definitely leads us to a great example that we had discussed earlier. You guys saw that play out in terms of the plant-based meat industry. Can you tell us more about what you had seen there using social listening, using what had been going on in social media?
Yeah. So, the plant-based industry for several quarters had been really, we've been seeing this increase in communication around plant-based meat in conversations. And with that, we were seeing a steady kind of increase of people saying, yeah, I'm purchasing plant-based meats. And then about a quarter before we saw a drop in people's purchasing behavior, we saw a very significant drop in overall a share of volume of communication in plant-based meat. And we didn't really realize it as significant at the time until we started to realize the next quarter, we saw that drop in people saying, oh, I'm not purchasing plant-based meat. And so that combined with the fact that we're seeing other plant-based staples like tofu and almond milk staying rock solid or kind of moving up, we're seeing that this can be predictable. We can look at some of the data and go, you know what, you're starting to see an increase here. Less people, less word of mouth is going to mean less people going out there and trying it. And so what we did see is more red meat and chicken increase among the same kind of groups of people that have been stepping away from plant-based meats. And this is partially due to the economy. Plant-based meat users, a lot of the people who were out there using the plant-based meats were really kind of those varietarians. They were really out there looking for variety. They weren't necessarily vegan or vegetarian strictly. They just essentially wanted to maybe have some plant-forward meals. And the economy going kind of south for them and their own personal economies perhaps is making that seem more of a luxury. And also there's been a failure for some on expectations. The taste, the health profile isn't as healthy as some of them. Some people went in thinking, and then some people still have texture issues. And so that combination has sort of where we're seeing that plant-based meat declining and the social going down. But interestingly, this very past quarter, these past 3 months in social, we have seen an uptick in some of the communication around plant-based meat in our social conversations. So we're kind of waiting for the data to come back, see if we're also see that increase. I would predict at this point, because we're seeing that go back up, we might see a small increase in penetration of people saying that they're buying plant-based meats in this next quarter. So we'll kind of have to wait to see if we're seeing that come true.
I want to go back a little bit to what you were talking about with the impact of social media in terms of creating buzz around like specific ingredients, specific, going beyond just product mentions, but like specific ingredients and creative ways to use that ingredient. Mm-hmm. You mentioned magnesium, popping up again, B12 popping up. And I remember in our previous chat, you mentioned mushrooms, chia seed. Can you tell us more about what you have been seeing there?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's funny is that, chia seeds have had a couple rebirths. They were the chia pets. And then in the 2000s, chia seeds really kind of got a boost of people wanting to kind of put them in different sorts of things that they were making, because they do have a great health profile. And then they kind of, went flat for a while. What we're seeing in our data is that chia seeds, thanks to essentially a lot of TikTok, TikTok has been having a whole lot of conversation around these beverages with kind of a not so appetizing name called the internal shower. Essentially, you're putting chia seeds in a beverage and it helps clean out your system. We have seen so many views across TikTok on this, and the amount of communication and purchasing has been reflected in chia seeds, particularly among Gen Y consumers. We can see that there's a 13% growth in social chatter, essentially, in the past 6 months about chia seeds, specifically among the Gen Y consumers. So we know that they are really kind of gravitating towards this. And we're also starting to see chia seeds pop up even more in products that are out there. And I suspect you're going to see it a lot more. So now you'll find chia seeds in yogurts and snack chips and energy bars and fruit pouches. And there's even communication around putting it in your children's food because it's giving a really great nutritional profile. It's fun. It has that crunch. And so, seeing those social communications bump up and seeing that impact that sort of TikTok conversations have been having has been really interesting to start seeing that in the data as well.
Wow, that's a lot of great insights right there. Thank you, Meg. I just want to ask one more question. To your point earlier about how you had said how the work you all put into in social listening and seeing what's going on, in the social media environment can lead you guys to make maybe sort of predictive insights. Along that note, anything, that you can share with us what, Brightfield Group might be predicting might be the next, hot new ingredient or trend going forward in the wellness space?
Don't keep your eyes off functional mushrooms, reishi, lion's mane, chaga. That is showing up everywhere. And the social communications are only on the rise. All the things out there like the mushroom coffees and things like that are gaining popularity. People wanting to get that same kind of feeling from coffee, but not have coffee. And that's showing up in bars and things like that. So definitely don't take your eyes off that area. It's getting more and more people, not just the experimenters, a lot more people in the mainstream are kind of coming that direction. But I would say the one to really keep your eye on is taurine. So earlier this year, Science Magazine published their findings that taurine has the potential to age the process of, to slow the aging process in mammals. And there's been a ton of conversation. Essentially, right after that article came out, we saw all the conversation go up. That got us realizing that something was out there being talked about in taurine. And so we went out there and we've been kind of watching that. And we can see that, taurine is something that's gaining in popularity. We are seeing that people are looking for it as an ingredient in beverages and food. And it is something that is made naturally as an amino acid in the human body. So it does make it something of more comfort to consumers. And I do think that's one you're going to see really showing up in a lot of places outside of the energy drinks where it has always lived. We're going to see that kind of popping up a lot of places.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Meg Bluth, Senior Director of Insights for Brightfield Group. Meg, thanks so much again for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Susan.
Before we go, we're going to take a look at what's coming up in the food industry in the coming days. On Tuesday, September 19th to Wednesday, the 20th, the Federal Open Market Committee will be meeting again, with Fed Chair Jerome Powell giving a press conference on the meeting on the 20th. On Thursday, September 21st, the Conference Board releases latest numbers on the leading economic index. And I want to mention once again that FI is partnering with 𝗂𝗄𝘁 𝗂𝗶𝗹 to provide live stream coverage of its Food and Beverage Trade Expo in Dallas, Texas from September 27th to the 28th. We'll have interviews with key figures in the industry as well as on-the-ground event coverage. You can go to foodinstitute.com for more information. And in an exclusive bonus, FI members can register to attend this event for free. Click on the event link of the description of this newscast to find out more, or you can scan that QR code right there. And that's our show. Thanks so much for watching. I want to remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our social media channels. The support really makes a difference for us. Thanks again for watching. Have a great weekend and take care.